Welcome to Star-Powered Astrology for Changemakers. I'm Leslie Tagorda, your guide, a Hawaii-born Filipino-Jewish astrologer who loves navigating visionaries like you through the spiritual journey of your work so that you can be inspired to lead by your chart and become the luminary leader you were born to be. Well, hello, luminaries. It is Leslie Tagorda back with another episode as we look into the future at the horizon at 2023. In today's episode, I wanted to share my masterclass 2023 in the stars. And so I did a live masterclass last week. Actually, I did it 3 times last week for other communities. And then, of course, our own community here at Star Powered Podcast. I did a live masterclass 2023 in the stars, where I went through what's on the horizon in the celestial weather of 2023. Now, I love this time of year. And, the end of the year for an astrologer is like absolutely bananas. Everybody wants to know what's happening in 2023. You're getting, tapped to write articles for newspapers. You're getting tapped to do master classes for different communities. And I absolutely love it. Absolutely love it. But oh my goodness, it is so busy and I need a hot toddy with extra honey for my throat. I've been talking so much. And so as we look at what is up in these stars for 2023, it is equally important to also reflect back. And one of the reasons why reflection is such a big theme is that reflection allows us to start recognizing the symbols and the signs when we simply take a pause to reconsider and look back. And so part of this masterclass, not only do I start off with the initial theme, kind of just like my giant prediction of what the theme is going to be for the next year, but then we also take a look back at the events of 2023, not what happened on like the world stage, but what happened in your life, what happened in your work, so we can start to connect the dots and start to recognize the symbols. And then I go through 2023 from a really like high overview, high perspective overview, and then we drill down into all of the details. Now, you know me, I want to give you all of the things. And because sometimes it's a lot of information, I really do my best to not overwhelm you, but there are just so many wonderful things that are coming up in the next year. I ended up deciding to split this masterclass into 2 parts. So today's drop is part 1, 2023 in the stars. And in just about 24 hours or 48 hours, I'll drop that second part. Now, there is a highlight PDF report for you. So if you are listening to this and you're like, oh my gosh, I'm trying to jot down all these dates and all these degrees, just head on over to starpowered.com/2023 and you can grab your free PDF, a highlight report. Okay, so let me know what you think about 2023 in the stars. This is my 3rd time not only delivering 2023 in the stars, but I did one for 2022. I did one for 2021. And these just keep on getting better and better. I'm finally like finding my groove. And to me, like revealing what's really important to me, that's really hitting home for all of you as well. Now, in these masterclasses, as in part 2, as I digest each one of the big energy shifts that are happening in 2023, I'm going to give you a list of the do's and don'ts. Of course, they're more than just do's and don'ts. In the do's, I really want you to use your change-making lens on the things that you're going to choose to reframe in your life and your work. That's your do task. And those don'ts, all of those bits and pieces that you need to release and dismantle, from the stories in your head to the actions that you take. So I really hope you enjoy this live masterclass. We had such a wonderful time, and get your highlights at starpower.com/2023 if your hand is going to get tired jotting down all those details. Now, before we dive in, I just wanted to let you know that doors are still open until solstice, until December 21st at 11:59 p.m. Pacific, to get into Star Powered Circle. Star Powered Circle, we have over 40 people that have already raised their hands to create this movement in their lives and in their works to work with their own star powers. Remember, it's more than just a community. It's more than just an astrology library. It's more than access to new moon rituals and monthly star hours. Think about like a hot seat versus all of your astrology questions in like kind of a speed reading kind of format. It is all of this put together. And so now you don't have to join by the entire year. You can join by the quarter. That's right. You can commit for 3 months. And in those 3 months, you'll be getting one live intensive. What I mean by a live intensive is that it's 4 consecutive Thursdays in the month of March, where we are going to be doing a deep dive on one astrology topic. We're going to have 4 of them in this year. March's intensive is celestial cycles, where I'm going to be teaching you how to work with the rhythm of the cosmos for flow and impact. In this 4-week intensive in March, every Thursday, the first 4 Thursdays of March, we are going to understand the collective cosmic weather so that you can be in harmony with the seasons. We're going to learn to create your own personalized daily, weekly, monthly, and annually energetic maps according to current celestial cycles. So this is super exciting. Like we're going to be creating an annual harvest map together. Then we're going to also customize your strategy to rework and revamp parts of your life and work as you work with the different retrograde cycles of the personal planets. Lastly, we're going to understand your wheel of fortune based on the cycles of Jupiter, Saturn, and beyond. Of course, you know that my fashion and style and flavor of astrology is at the intersection of leadership, how we present ourselves in our life and our work, as well as our inner path of healing. So please join me in Star Powered Circle if you want to commit for 3 months and grab this Celestial Cycles Astrology Intensive. Your last chance to get celestial cycles that starts in March is on this solstice, December 21st. Doors will close for Star Powered Circle for that quarterly, for the quarterly options on December 21st. I won't open them again until after we've delivered celestial cycles. So if you want celestial cycles, you want to take this live, you want to grab 4 meetings with me in March, plus your other monthly goodies, this is your chance to join in Star Powered Circle and join over 40 people and growing community. It's going to be amazing. You know what? It already is amazing. And lastly, if you have wanted to work one-on-one with me in Astrobrand sessions, remember that as of right now, the only way that you're going to be able to work one-on-one with me is if you are in the circle. I'll be offering Astrobrand sessions, one-on-one Astrobrand sessions to only those in the circle. Come on, it's star powered in here. Head over to starpower.com/circle and grab your 3-month membership. Oh, and just an FYI, if you want some one-on-one mentorship with me, I have 3 spots left in the Luminary edition, and it is all that and a bag of chips, if I may say so myself. Okay, enough talking. Let's get into 2023 and the stars, part 1. Welcome, everybody. Oh my goodness, it's so wonderful to see your faces. Grace, hello, Miss Grace. I haven't seen you in forever. It's so lovely to see so many familiar faces and so many new faces and returning faces. Welcome, everybody. I have a ton of information to share with you. 2023. Hello, Ishel. Hey, Ishel, have you looked into the ephemeris for 2023? Have you seen all the shifts?
I'm trying to get through 2022.
I know, we have a few more weeks. We're going to make it. We're going to make it. Hello, Mickey, Paula. If I don't say hello to your name personally, that I'm still sending you so many hellos. We have a lot of big things to go into, so I'm just going to dive in. Are y'all ready to hear about 2023? Whew, we have a big party in store. So let me set up my screen. I finally settled on a theme for this year. I'm calling it officially, because you know I am not a fear-mongering astrologer. I don't want to like freak people out. I am calling 2023 in the stars officially crystallize your flow. And I'm going to share the reasons how I got to crystallize that flow. But right below that crystallize the flow, if you're watching on the presentation, you will see a snake. Because my unofficial title for this year is unhinged. And not like unhinged, like in a crazy way, like we're just like losing it. I mean unhinged where nothing seems solid next year. Nothing seems like it is attached. Everything seems like everything is in transition. And so for those of us, you know, we've been spiritual entrepreneurs for a while, we might be calling this that liminal place. And so I want you to think about this idea of unhinged, where if you've ever got to experience a snake, whether a pet snake, or if you've ever had, you know, at the zoo watching a snake at feeding time, imagine just the little corn snakes, not anything that's scary that's going to like devour you, but think of a little corn snake and it's being fed a mouse. And you know what? That mouse is way bigger, right? It's way bigger than that jaw of that snake. And so literally what the snake has to do is it has to unhinge its jaw so that it can open its jaw as big as possible and take that mouse in, right? And now the snake doesn't have any arms. It doesn't have a way to like kind of shove it down its throat and its gullet, right? So instead, it's wriggling and it's waving its like all of its different, that rib cage, and it's pulling in this big mouse. Well, 2023 to me has that feeling of all of the shifts that we're going to experience in 2023 is this big mouse. And are we going to be able to digest this mouse? Does that snake digest that mouse instantly? No. Sometimes that snake is going to go into hiding for a week, 2 weeks, a month, just to be able to digest. And so that is our process this year, right? So we are still going to be taking inspired action. We are still going to be learning how to empathize and move through our fears. And let's talk about what kind of energies we have at our disposal. So my intention for us today, because I'm going to be dropping so much information, and I apologize ahead of time because I don't mean to overwhelm you with information. So my goal here today is to really inspire and inform without overwhelming. So if there's one thing that I want you to learn from this entire time together, is that all of the energies that I'm presenting is that are energies that we all have at our disposal this year, that there are energies that we can choose to work with to make our work more impactful, more in tuned, more aligned. There are energies that we can work with to dismantle systemic beliefs and systems that keep us diminished and oppressed, and that we have a choice to work with divine timing, with ease and flow. So those are my intentions for you. And if you've been working with me for a while or been following me for a while, you know that my style of astrology is not so much predictive. These are the guiding principles that I live by my astrology in order to be prescriptive, not predictive. Like, what is this energy ripe for? I'm never going to tell somebody like, yeah, this is going to happen for you, or no, this is not going to happen for us, because we have a choice. We have a destiny in how we are going to choose, not a fate, a destiny in how we're going to choose to work with this energy. And so there's all these ways that we can choose to work with these energies that are prescriptive, not predictive. I aim to be inspirational and insightful. I hate fear mongering because there's always gifts and opportunities. And of course, when I'm looking at astrology, I'm looking at astrology from this perspective of leadership and change making. Yes, there's an inner journey of healing, but I'm really, really interested in how we can stretch into our most luminous selves in our work. So the reason why we look ahead is because we want to see the roadmap, the big picture that focuses from January 1st, 2023 to December 31st, 2023, a cosmic convergence of the year ahead so that we can choose to work with flow and more easily in the collective. We look at the big picture again, not so that we can predict, but so that we can prepare for what's next, so that we can work in strategy. So as we look at these highlights of what's ahead, we're also going to take a little bit of a pause and look behind. We're going to reflect. And taking a pause and reflecting and looking at behind is so important. It's not to slow us down, but it's so that we can start to recognize the symbols and the signs so that when we see them again in the future, we're like, oh, I've been here. I recognize where I am. And you can navigate it at much, much more easily. This is true strategy, okay? And so today what we're going to cover, we are going to start with some reflections of 2022 because we've all had a wild ride. I'm still reeling from this wild ride of this year, and I think many of us are too. We are going to be looking at the overall timeline of 2023. Just look at a big picture, bird's eye view. And then we're going to drill down into some of the cosmic meetups, meaning the big players, the outer planets that move so slowly in the sky. We're going to look at any of those meetups. We're also going to look at the outer planets as they move into different signs. In 2022, we only have Jupiter moving into Aries. And then he moved back into Pisces. We're still, and now going back into Aries at the end of this year. But we have some momentous shifts. That is that big mouse that corn snake is trying to eat. And then we're going to be looking at the lunations. The lunations, the new moons, the full moons, the eclipses are extraordinary. They're unlike anything I've ever seen before. And, I'm not a 30-year-old astrologer, like I haven't been studying astrology for 30 years or anything like that. So maybe it's not new to some people, but it's really spectacular and remarkable to me. We'll be looking at the personal planet retrogrades, and then I'll be going through just kind of like a snapshot of your monthly themes. Now, feel free to take screenshots of these. We're almost done. Jeff and I are almost done putting these slides together as a PDF, and early next week, you'll be getting the highlights of this as a PDF. So don't worry about taking frantic notes or anything like that. You'll be getting all this information. I recognize so many beautiful faces and souls here, but for anybody who doesn't, if I'm new to anybody, again, my name is Leslie Tagorda. I am a podcast host, an astrologer, designer, and I'm a Hawaii-born Filipino Jew, a third career astrologer. And I'm really specific and intentional about saying all of these things because these things are actually kind of vulnerable for me. Coming from my original profession as a classical musician, and I'm still a professional clarinetist, being in the classical music world is pure institutionalized oppression. I mean, you can't get any more institutionalized than in classical music. And then I went into branding and design with a web design business, and now astrology, connecting the dots between our intersection of our identity and how we present and heal and lead in our work. Now, I share this journey because it's really rooted from my own healing journey of exploring my inner identity crisis and worthiness, because all I ever heard growing up was that I wasn't enough. I wasn't Hawaiian enough because I don't have Hawaiian blood, even though I was born and raised in Hawaii. I wasn't white enough because I'm half Filipino. I wasn't Asian enough for my Filipino family because I was half white. If you can see my skin, I'm clearly not white. Not thin enough, smart enough, good enough, all of the enoughnesses. And I realized that most of us have these kind of enoughness stories. And astrology shows us the way to get out of this enoughness to our full amplification. And so what I've learned to do is weave all of my experiences and into this language of astrology and harmony and how we are meant to present ourselves in the world, what we need to reframe and dismantle to unlearn societal rules of our individual success. So you already know this, but today my mission is to be a spiritual and strategic teacher, helping entrepreneurs, change makers, healers, all those who cannot or will not work in traditional transformational work to become the luminary leaders that they are born to be. And my purpose is to create a movement of leveraging astrology in your brand and leadership. So let's move on. You know who I am. So I'm starting at 2020. Like, what? Why are we going all the way back to 2020? Because let me tell you, 2022, we have been suffering in the aftershocks of 2020. Okay, we're going to be referencing 2020 for quite a few years from now, because even astrologers who have been studying astrology for decades had always looked up to 2020 and go, what the heck is going to happen that year? And even though this is an old graphic, and our graphics are so much more spiffy than they are now, you can see how so many things culminate in the summer of 2020. And if you just choose to remember back to that summer of 2020, the societal upheavals, the tumult, the questions, the uncertainty. This was a seismic shift in astrology, in society, in collective, in so many different ways that we are still really feeling the impact from. As we move into 2023, well, we'll take a look at 2021 first. More tension builds, because now that we had, when an earthquake happens, the earthquake, if you survive the earthquake, that's not the hardest part. The hardest part is after the earthquake, when you're doing all the cleanup and all the rebuilding. 2021, cleanup. 2022, we are still rebuilding. Now, the biggest thing of 2022, and we're still in 2022, so I want us to just honor, we survived October. Can I just see share a show of hands? Like, who else was October just like totally like bananas, like not knowing if we're going to make it, like just stretched to the edge? Okay. And that was because of our Saturn square Uranus. And I'm going to share a little bit more about that in the reflections of just 2022, because all of these years, they prepare us for what's to come ahead in 2023. 2023. This is really where we are starting that new chapter. But this new chapter doesn't really officially begin until 2024, 2025. And that's why I'm talking about this, of being in our liminal place, of being in our in-between places. And I know that so much of us here, and thank you, Christine, for Ishal, for showing me, like, you really started like planting the seeds of that liminal space in my own language, because that's what this kind of year is. And being in that place of unknown is challenging, because we don't know what to expect. And hence the theme that I chose for this year is really based on this: crystallize your flow, meaning your flow with being okay and going with the flow. We can still direct, we still have oars, we can still like move where we want to go. But this year we're in a transition place. It's like this beautiful song where you have your chorus and you have your second place, but we have this bridge. And 2023 is in that song. It is a bridge into the next place. So before we look at 2023, I want us to reflect back so we can start to recognize the signs. Okay, so one of the biggest things that changed in the early of 2022 is that the North Node and the South Node, the collective North Node and South Node, moved from Gemini and Sagittarius, where we were sharing our ideas and our beliefs back in 2020 and 2021, to revealing secrets, collective peace, working on our own resources and on our own truths, finding our own inner resource. And so as we look back at this kind of collective peace and intimacy, and these are themes that I created last year at this time, not knowing what was really going to come forth ahead. But if you want to take a look at these reflection questions, I wonder what secrets and untruths were revealed for you in not just your life, but your work, right? What have you learned to trust in yourself, in your body, in your intuition? And the biggest question around rematriation, really restoring. When I talk about rematriation, I was talking about that because of the Uranus North Node conjunction in 2022, earlier this year, exact on August, was that there was a quantum evolution for us to re-care for Mother Earth. Some of us have never stopped caring for Mother Earth, but us as a culture, as a collective, as a society have done so much harm to Mother Earth. And, just thinking about over the last year, how there have been so many quantum leaps in returning land back to original stewardship. What happened for you on a personal level? And if you have anything to share from these reflection questions, you're invited to put it in the chat. But I'm going to go on to the next theme that I wanted to reflect on. When Jupiter entered Aries. Okay, so Jupiter is currently in Pisces, at that very last degree of Pisces, as it gets ready to re-enter Aries. But at this moment in time, Jupiter is just foot on the gas. It is moving so fast through the sky right now that even though Jupiter entered Aries for the first time in May, right, showing, and May through October, giving us an idea of our new inspired, expansive leadership, the reflection questions I have for you are, how has your purpose found you? Right? It is, I've learned that us as purposeful entrepreneurs or as purposeful people, we seem to have this idea that we find our purpose. But as we live in alignment and in attunement with our own stars, as we take inspired, messy action, our purpose has a way of finding us. So I wonder, what purpose has found you this year? And what purposeful leadership did you decide to step into? Now, if you're saying, oh my gosh, I haven't done that yet, don't worry. December 20th comes up and Jupiter is going to be speeding through Aries, just rushing straight through Aries. You'll have time to reconsider and consciously, intentionally choose your purposeful leadership by taking inspired action every day. Okay. Ishel was sharing something about the rematriation, how she noticed oh yes, Ishel did this for herself. She re-immigrated to her ancestral lands in Mexico. That's so exciting. If anybody has, wants to learn more about re-immigrating, Ishel is a source of wonderful wisdom. And Nicole says that she stumbled into her purpose this fall with eclipse season. Oh my gosh, this eclipse season was incredible. And Nicole mentions, crazy opportunities opened up for me following a huge decision in which I trusted my intuition with no expectation of these opportunities. So Nicole, that sounds like amazing, because to me, this is a reflection of both of the nodes entering Taurus, Scorpio, right? Because you learned to trust your intimacy, your own intimacy, and then finding your own purpose. That's amazing. I love that. And a name says, yes to messy inspired action, exploring ways to bring somatic experiencing to Cambodian American refugees for healing. A name, you have no idea how much I am glowing. So a name and I have been working together a little bit over the last year, and I've really seen you come kind of full circle from resisting your healing work to like fully embracing it in just a few months. Like, hello, congratulations, a name. And Justine, with your spirit baby mediumship found you. Yes. And Adana, did I say your name correctly? Excuse me if I didn't. Immediately after a breakup in July, I launched my spiritual healing plant medicine company. Oh my gosh. Oh my goodness. Just so many congratulations, and honoring the spaces that you have all bravely, courageously moved into from this place of faith. All of these actions that people are sharing in the chat are not actions based on fear. Right? People are doing these actions even though they are scared, but they have faith in themselves. It is this messy action that takes us to these magical places. Oh, I love that. And yes, Tammy, congratulations to all. So The next thing that for 2023, my theme for, for 2022, the theme that I had named 2022 was based on this meetup of Jupiter and Neptune, spiritual visionary expansion. Both Jupiter and Neptune, the two most archetypal spiritually expansive energies met up in their home sign, their collective home sign of Pisces today, this year, for a new collective beginning. Right? When two outer planets meet up in the sky at that same degree, it is like a new moon. It's always a new beginning. And so 2022 was the real beginning, even though so many of us have already been awoken to spiritual visionary expansion. And you could just see the growth of people wanting to harness their own spiritual tools, harness different divinational tools, harnessing different healing tools on their spiritual journey and in their work. So many spiritual entrepreneurs have come to the fore in the last few years, but really like peaking right now. So how did you harness the power of your vision and spiritual awareness this year? Right? Julie said that she closed a home childcare after 10 years to become a postpartum doula. Congratulations on taking that big leap of faith. Now, Jupiter and Neptune, they're just so wonderful. I love these energies together, and they met up in April, and I'm wondering what for you. Oh yes, April says I've experienced experienced several deaths and rebirths this year. Yes, we always have to let go in order for something new to be created. And so this Jupiter Neptune felt very, very spiritual. Now, if you're not feeling like, oh, I don't know what awakened in me, like I didn't feel like this overt, oftentimes when Jupiter and Neptune are at play, the energy is much more profound. It's much more subtle. And so even if you felt more inclined to learn about philosophy or learn about social justice or learn about like artistic things, intangible things, Jupiter and Neptune has done its work for you. Okay, last reflection of 2022 is this thing that we felt all through October. And so if you can see this chart, these charts are drawn from a website called the Archetypal Explorer, archetypalexplorer.com. And it's so beautiful how they've created these visualizations to show the ebbs and flows of outer planetary movements. So you can actually visualize how planets interact with each other, how they move together, how they peak, how they move away, how they build up. And so this chart here is a graphic of the square off between Saturn in Aquarius, so boundaries, limits, contractions, focus, crystallization, with Uranus, change, quantum leaps, innovation, revolution, right? These two planets, to me, represented those aftershocks of 2020, right? And you can see 1, 2, 3, 4 peaks, 4 aftershocks that we all experienced. And so my, Adana, it is called archetypalexplorer.com, and it's beautiful, and you can put in your own transits. I highly recommend it. It is a paid site, but it's not that expensive, and I really, really love it. And so this question for us really was, what stress tests this year, and even in 2021, showed you where you needed to focus, that's Saturn, or change, Uranus, right? So oftentimes with these squares, these are outside experiences that kind of happen to us. Like we don't plan them, we don't intentionally choose this change, but all of a sudden these experiences or challenges appear in our lives, in our work, and we are being asked to respond to this. And because these were two such powerful energies, this really felt like we had to break down a lot of boxes to make room for the important things. So I live in San Francisco, and I live in a 6-unit building, and we have like 2 recycle bins. And unfortunately, this whole building, we spend so much on Amazon, and we are like inundated with boxes. I know that's a whole nother tangent, a whole nother problem, but I'm always the one who's like, break down your boxes because you can't fit anything more into the recycle bins. And so what this means in our lives is that there's too many empty boxes taking up space in our lives. And this stress test showed us what needed the most focus and priority, because we didn't have capacity to hold anything else. And so even despite all of the challenges that we've survived this year, that we've surpassed, that we've overcome, it has taught you what you need to prioritize and what you need to innovate and change in your life. So really, it was a gift. Okay. Grace. We need to, so Grace ran for office in her home state of Iowa, and Grace is a badass. If you don't already know Grace Van Cleve, please follow her, because, you know, even if we lose at things that we really want, it doesn't mean that it's not for us. It just means that it wasn't for us at that time, and we had so much to learn about that experience, and it fuels the fire to go again. And so while extremely disappointing, still so valuable. I'm so proud of you, Grace. I'm so like, I still talk to people about like, I know this woman, Grace, and she does this. Like, it just makes me so happy to know that you went for it. You went for it. And that is a win in so many ways. Awesome. I hope you join me tomorrow or the next day when the part 2 drops. I had to really divvy up this masterclass. It was just a little bit too long. So next time, I'll catch you next time in just a couple of days for part 2 in 2023 in the stars. If you have a chance, let me know what you thought about this first half and what resonated most for you. What reflections did you have back as you looked back at your 2022? All right, my friends, more soon. As a human design projector, my energy shines more brightly because of people like you who share my work. If you enjoy this podcast and want to help build a movement of innovative astrology and leadership and spark the intuitive revolution, please rate and review this podcast on Apple Podcasts, or better yet, share this podcast with your change-making besties. We will all shine brighter together as we create the future we want to see.